Hello, Ricky Raven here. My questions for today are, does radiometric dating work the way it's claimed to, and how accurate could it be? And then I'd like to ask one more question at the end. We can see whether something works by looking at the actual reports from those that have used it. For example, before buying a car, smart shoppers look at what both actual owners say and what the mechanics who work on them have to say. So when looking at radiometric dating, it's kind of foolish to just go by what the lab rats claim. That would be like trusting the manufacturer of the car to give you an honest assessment of their own car. So let's look in the field where it's used and see what those working with it have reported. What would be the toughest test for radiometric dating? I would say it's most likely when items or fossils pertaining to your man stuff are found. Let's look at a couple of actual examples. The first takes us to an ash layer in northern Kenya. This was considered Triassic. That's 200 to 230 million years ago according to your geological time. But then mammal bones were found, so it had to be redated. And then later the Leakey team found skull 1470, so it had to be redated again. Not enough time to go into details here, but you can research it by looking at the KBS controversy. Here's my short version. After the mammal bones and then the man stuff was found, a number of teams battled back and forth, criticizing each other's work and findings. The combined group's work and articles together gave reported dates varying from 500,000 years to 17.5 million years. Combine that with the original 200 plus million years, and you've got quite a spread. Which date is right? Better question, who could possibly determine that? You can read the whole thing as it was reported in Nature articles beginning in 1970, and I don't think it was officially decided until sometime into the 80s. A frustrated Dr. Leakey said, either we toss out this skull, or we toss out our theories of early man. Another one happened at almost the same time in the Americas. A mammoth bone with artwork on it and a number of spear tips were found. Again, man stuff. They went to work dating the layers above. Here, again, the details would take too much time to present, but varying methods they used got them ages from 10,000 years to 650,000 years. People were shunned, some lost their jobs, and all kinds of ridiculous accusations came from this silly man-dating controversy. You can see a movie that was made about it called New Evidence of Early Man Suppressed: The Dark Side of Archaeology. So that's just a taste of how it works in real life, in the field. I have to say, you people totally amaze me, because that's just 2 stories. There's plenty more. If you're interested, just look in Southern California into D. Simpson and Leakey's man stuff at Calico, with dates between 200,000 and 1.75 million. Miller's Enzo Borrego man and mammoth finds with dates of 300,000 to 750,000. And then there's George Carter's Texas Street excavation in San Diego that suggested early man dates of 60 to 80,000 years. In 1960, Carter submitted an article to Science, but those dates are considered too old, so of course the scholars who reviewed it rejected it. Carter wrote to the editor back and said, "Just for fun, I have a correspondent whose name I cannot use, for though he thinks I am right, he could lose his job for saying so. I have another anonymous correspondent who, as a graduate student, found evidence that would tend to prove me right. He and his fellow students buried the evidence. They were certain to bring it forward would cost them their chance for their PhDs. At a meeting, a young professional approached me and said, 'I hope you really pour it on them. I would dare to say it myself, but I would lose my job.' At another meeting, a young man sided up and said, 'In Dig X, they found core tools just like yours at the bottom, but they didn't publish them.' So it appears to us ravens that radiometric dating is a lab rat game. You guys would probably call it a boys club. Want to prove me wrong? Here's my challenge. Take different kinds of samples from rocks, fossils, lavas, and any organic matter found all up and down the entire Grand Canyon, all at the same time, and send them all completely blind to numerous labs all around the world. Now, if they all, or even most of the dates come back in a uniform succession from the bottom to the top, we could say, yeah, this works. But I'm betting you'd have dates all over the place, and there would not be anything near a consistent straight line order. I doubt anyone would attempt it because dating labs have already had very embarrassing experiences with blind dating. Dinosaur bones were blindly dated 20 to 30,000 years old instead of the minimum of 65 million years they are said to be. So if the bones date tens of thousands of years, and the deposits the bones are found in date tens of millions of years, who could possibly know which is the true and correct date? For lab rats to say that the half-life of uranium-238 to lead-206 is 4.47 billion years, and uranium-235 to lead-207 is a half-life of 704 million years, is an extrapolation beyond absurd. Look at this. A father could record his child's first steps 3 days in a row, and then figuring from the steady increases that child will step all the way to the moon in one step in just 32 days. Yeah, the science is good, and the numbers are correct, but I think you can see there are other factors that make that impossible. So as you can see, it's easy to use science to tell stories that aren't even true. You people haven't even been recording the decay rates for 100 years, and yet you extrapolate into the billions of years. Who could possibly know that much time has passed, or that far more time has passed? And who could possibly know that nothing, absolutely nothing, had any effect on the rate of decay in all that time? If you're honest with yourself, you'd have to admit, nobody could know any of those simple, basic details. So with all the variables and numerous ways samples can be contaminated, I ask you again, who could know whether you are or whether you're not getting true and accurate dates? Enter the boys club. See, your own reports clearly show that in the end the correct dates are accepted only if they are approved by some sort of vote from what we'd see as the boys club. That is manipulation. Joke, get it? But you have to admit, that is not science. But radiometric dating is great for the boys club because look, there's money in it, there's power, and there's bragging rights. Yet this same boys club ignores or cowers away from all the problematica and failures.
We talked about unconformities before. Here you have the 3 types of unconformities. And this is another reason why the Grand Canyon is.
It should be clear by now, the real problem with radiometric dating is the fact that in all honesty, nobody could possibly know what is and what isn't the true and correct dates. History shows that what it really comes down to is the story you want to tell. You people are lousy at history. You forget it was a battle between Lord Kelvin's limits for the age of the Earth and the time, 15 trillion years, that Darwin and his supporters wanted for his theory to have time to take shape. Hence, the boys club began, and in time, radiometric dating gave them the time they wanted. So, like it or not, it has become accepted and touted whether it's true or not. By using a grossly extrapolated bit of science, the boys club gets to tell the story they want to tell. So do you trust radiometric dating? Have you chosen to trust what it says about some of life's more important issues? Not us, because the final question you should ask yourself is, who could possibly know if the dates being quoted are true? And for those in the boys club to claim that they do know? Oh, wow! I think I'd be very wary of such people. From a raven's point of view, radiometric dating is nothing more than a lab rat's dating game. Because seriously, who could possibly know?